Hey guys, I'm Alanna, and I am here today with Joe, who is going to talk us through some cybersecurity topics.
Thank you, Alanna. So yes, what we're going to be talking about today is insider threats. What some people might not understand about insider threats is that it could be someone that's actually inside the organization or outside. Typically, whenever anyone thinks of an insider threat, they think of an attacker coming in. But it could also be as simple as someone fat-fingering a password, someone leaving their sticky note on their desk with their password written. It was funny. Someone sent me an article with a little comic in it, and the comic said it was an IT guy going to their boss to say, all right, I've identified everyone that could potentially attack our company. It's everyone that works for us and everyone that doesn't work for us. So
Anyone.
Literally anyone. And when you're talking from a cybersecurity perspective, it adds so much complexity to it, because not only do I now need to understand an attacker coming in that could get your password and get in, but I also need to worry about you not leaving your password on your desk. So have you ever done that?
Probably, yeah. Who hasn't?
Or under your keyboard? Yeah, it's...
Stepped away to grab coffee, left my laptop open, happens.
You have no idea how many times I'm in Starbucks that people have gone to the bathroom, left their laptop open, and I'm just no,
all the time.
No, please don't do that. And in terms of cybersecurity, that's where the term behavioral analytics comes in. Because what that means is I'm going to see what you do and how you do it. How you access your email, how you log into OneDrive in Coro's example, or SharePoint. We're gonna see how you're logging into those, all right, so that we can baseline what your typical behavior is. And then if we see you step outside of that, that's where we could throw a red flag and just be like, all right, that might not be you, what's going on?
And that's a user, so that's anyone within the company?
It could be anyone.
Okay.
It could be you, it could be Carlos, it could be Guy Moskowitz. We don't care who it is, we're gonna be looking at everyone.
Okay, you mentioned fat fingering. What is that?
That is actually a super technical term. No, so it's a typical kind of IT jargon term that we use especially when people are so proficient with typing nowadays, where you could type without looking, right? Sometimes you type and you miss a key. The actual threat of that is that as you're doing that, you could mistakenly type and go to a wrong website. And a lot of attackers are trying to get you through social engineering to go to other websites, and they'll actually purchase domains that are so close. Oh, and that's why it's one that was years ago, Facebook, for example. An attacker actually purchased Facebook with 3 O's instead of 2.
No
so
way.
That when you went there, you saw just a regular Facebook login. You log in, you put your credentials in, and now your account's exposed.
So you mentioned that an insider threat could be an insider or an outsider technically. Yep. Can you elaborate on the outsider part of that piece?
So I could actually expand on a little bit of both. So the outside attacker could be someone that's actually gets access to an office. That could be a delivery person. All right, it could be someone pretending to be FedEx that comes in and puts a USB drive in a laptop, in a desktop. So when you're talking about something from the outside actually physically getting in, they could do that. Or it's some of the social engineering that we spoke about before. Someone trying to get you to go to a bad website to put your credentials in that you might think is legitimate. You might go to what you think is a Microsoft page, put your credentials in, but it's actually not. And now your credentials are exposed.
So the insider becomes the threat because they're giving their information
Exactly,
to an outsider.
Exactly. And a lot of times people are just like, oh, an insider threat is a disgruntled employee. Someone that got a bad performance review and is now deleting everything in finance, right, or taking all the documents they made. Exactly, which it's not. I mean, those obviously happen, and you wanna prepare for those also.
Sure.
But those are a little bit more few and far between now because everyone is just so happy these days. But it's
never a disgruntled employee.
Never. But that's why you really need to look at it from kind of both sides to make sure that you're looking at behavior agnostically. You're looking at your behavior, whether it's you or it's someone else. We just want to look at how you're acting.
Could you expand a bit and maybe give some examples on behavior that would trigger an anomaly in the system?
Absolutely. So let's take our marketing team, for example. You guys are working with different image files and different things that you might be downloading or uploading constantly. Would you say that that's
All the
fair
time.
with what you guys are doing? So let's say we baseline your activity at 500 files a day. You're uploading or downloading 500 files a day. We see your account now downloading 10,000 files in one day. That could jump out as, okay, what's Alanna doing? What are you now? It could just be that it's a project. Maybe you needed to pull everything out. Or maybe you got that bad performance review and you said, you know what, guys, I'm out of here. These are things that they're not overly malicious, where an IT person isn't going to cut you off and just like, what are you doing?
Right.
But it could be something where we go, hey, what is that normal behavior? Is that
Sure, send a flag up.
Exactly. And this is very important with any kind of security. Not everything is malicious. Not everything is a threat. It's something, the term I always like to use is actionable. It's not necessarily where, oh my God, someone's in, batten down the hatches. We need to find out what's going on.
Right.
It's something where you're just like, okay, let's look into this. Let's see why someone did this. It could just be where we need to just be like, hey, don't do it that way, do it another way.
Right, sure. So when that flag goes up, who receives that flag and what is the procedure to kind of address whether it is or isn't a threat from that point?
It could be a number of different people. It could be just an IT person. It could be someone in IT security. When you're talking about the mid-market and enterprise, it gets a little murky because you have the smaller IT teams and then the larger ones. Okay. Typically, IT security, if it's not a dedicated person, it's obviously someone on the IT team. And when you're talking about a flag going up, that could be any number of things. Depending on how malicious it is, the software that you're using, Coro, for example, we could give different ratings on what the artificial intelligence and machine learning determine it as. It could be like, hey, this is a threat you need to worry about. Okay. Hey, this is something that the system's already taken care of.
Sure.
But when you're talking about addressing it, first and foremost, you always want to speak to the end user. You always want to speak to, hey, is this you? Is this what you're doing? Is this actually what you're doing? Because from there, we could make an educated decision.
Yeah.
But these are things that we always want to have that conversation first before, now again, let's say that you're like, no, that's not me. Okay, you know what? We're going to suspend your account. We're going to stop your access while we reset your password. Then we're going to let you in. We're going to monitor things just to make sure that you are you and we don't see anything else.
Sure. So how does Coro specifically handle insider threats?
Great question. So when we're talking about behavior and we're talking about all the activity that you're doing among the places that Coro is going to monitor. So when you're talking about email, cloud applications, your endpoint activity, we're baselining everything that you're doing. Not in a creepy sense, but we're seeing all the actions that you're doing, the file modifies, the emails sent, so that we could again know what's you, what's not. Now, how do we know what's actually you? That's something that the artificial intelligence and the machine learning is going to baseline. The example is you're based out of the United States. We know that that's where you're working. We see you traveling someplace else. That's something that's going to trigger because that's outside now. We haven't seen that yet. It could be that you're going to start regularly traveling, which is okay. What's cool, and I'm the tech guy, so I would say cool. What's cool about the artificial intelligence and the machine learning is over time, it will start to understand that. And it will start to recognize that, hey, every other month you're going to Israel. So if we see it, then that's going to be okay. But if we see you logging in from North Korea, nope, I don't think that's you. So we want to go ahead and trigger on that. So these are things that Coro can bring up those flags and potentially even take automated action if it is something severe. So if we do see you logging in from some of those really bad locations, the North Koreas, we can go ahead and cut your access off, let you know what we've done while we're triaging, resetting your password, in constant communication with you so you're not kind of left out in the dust.
Joe, this has been so great. I've learned so much about insider threats. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Happy to help, guys.